All right, let's start the introductions.
No.
No?
You're not my boss. You're not my boss.
Okay. I'm next to your boss, Isaac.
That's true.
Yeah. Isaac is your boss.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Angry Porter here, a.k.a. Take It Slow, a.k.a. Clancy, a.k.a. I have too many goddamn nicknames.
Hashtag Cordes Loot Rules.
Hashtag Cordets Loot Rules. That's right. With us today is, you know him, you love him, the fat man himself, CJ.
Yeah, the fat man
The
himself.
fat man himself.
Good 70-something pounds, lighter than the one just speaking.
Yes. Oh, fuck you. I've always been the fat man, but now you're the fat man, too.
When you have 900 games and hair is a storm of stitches, then you can take that moniker away from me.
That's true. Fair point. And joining us today is...
Riva?
Cats and Kaiju. Follow her on Tumblr.
That's also my Twitter handle. It's
And
Cats
Twitter.
Kaiju.
Cats and Kaiju with a K.
That's
Well,
adorable.
Kaiju is spelled with a K.
I know,
Cats
but then you
isn't
have-
spelled with a...
I
Cats is
thought you
spelled
put-
correctly.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not a heathen.
But that would be clever and like funny, and I thought you were clever and funny.
I
This-
am-
This just in, CJ doesn't know how to spell cats. And lastly with us is she who shall not be named and whose voice will sound most likely like some variant of Darth Vader.
That's fantastic.
The administrator. That's all she will be known as. The administrator.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
And fair warning, if you hear a crazy sound, that's probably because my dog Isaac destroyed the microphone. He's currently laying right behind it.
He wants
It's adorable.
He wants the attention.
All right, so we just got back from watching Avengers: Infinity War. CJ, Riva, you guys, this is your second watch through.
Yeah, we watched it on my birthday, which was Thursday,
Yes.
as the premiere. Marvel gave me a gift. The gift was Infinity War. I thought it was going to be a great gift. And then they were like, don't worry.
It's one of those. It's one of those dataless gifts where it's amazing, but then you see your loved ones fall to their death.
Yeah, it was one of those. It was, yeah.
That was a great gift. I was really happy with it. And you got to see it twice for free.
I did. So thank you.
The first time. Oh yeah, wait. Yeah, your parents paid for the first one.
Yeah, because
Oh my god, all that heartbreak for nothing.
I know my parents drove an hour to meet us, and we drove an hour to meet them, and we watched it. Because my mom also is one of those, sees it on
I'm sure
opening
she
night.
was very satisfied with Thor's appearance and interaction.
Oh, yes. Thor is her favorite. Like, afterwards, she was just like, I asked her about it, like, ran into her in the bathroom after. I was like, Mom, what do you think of Thor? And she was like, it was good. I was like,
Just
all
very
right.
polite, like well-contained, like I'm gonna freak out later, but not in front of my daughter. It's good.
So your mom's got the hots for Thor.
She has since she was, like, a teenager. Okay,
Wait.
so
Oh, the actual character?
the actual character.
Okay,
and
not
then,
just Chris Hemsworth?
she
She could
already
be
liked
Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth before he was cast as Thor, and then when that casting happened, because she watches a stupid amount of, like, bad action movies, and afterwards she was like, oh, he's a pretty man. He's going to be a pretty Thor. And she was, like, really excited about it. I think she saw Thor opening night. She saw Thor 2 opening night. I think she saw Thor 2 twice in theaters. She saw
And
Ragnarok
that
I think,
takes
that
commitment.
weekend.
Seeing Thor 2 twice in theaters.
Well, I think she saw it twice in theaters because of he's pretty. And she likes men with long blonde hair, so, and I suspect it's because as a teenager she really liked Thor, but yeah. Like, I brought her into the comic book shop I get my stuff at, and she bought almost every Thor comic out of the bin. And she was like, yeah, I used to have some of these. And I was like, okay.
So both Riva's mom and Drax have an affinity for Thor.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a dude.
You're a dude.
That's a man.
This is a man.
So, yeah, I guess the opening scene is what? We lose Heimdall,
Heimdall.
and we lose Loki. So is Loki really dead?
That's always going to be the real question to ask. Hashtag God of Mischief and all that, and we've seen him die twice already.
They tried to
Quote.
hammer it home, being like...
Hammer it. Yeah.
Uh,
Well, we don't
Like,
have a hammer.
oh, I think it's real this time, like, with Thor being all
And
sad
the
with Rocket,
ship fucking
and the
blowing
ship
up.
blowing up, and, like, Thanos being like, no regeneration this time. Like, they tried 3 different times to be like, he is dead. This is real.
yeah,
That's what they want us to think.
Yeah, I don't think he's dead.
it seemed a little, I don't know if impulsive is the right word from Loki, but he's just like, I pledge my allegiance to, and immediately tries to, like, did he think
Like,
he
that was
gonna kill him?
very unplanned, which is not Loki's
Yeah,
motif.
unless it was part of the plan.
Unless it was part of the plan.
It might have been, but I think it was because after Ragnarok, he had such character development near the end of, like, Ragnarok. He was like, oh,
Like,
Shit.
there's no direction we can go in that line of thought with certainty because of who we're talking about, because it's Loki. everything we're saying, he could still be alive.
Mm-hmm.
Very less likely than in other scenarios, but who knows?
Well, yeah, because also if he died, wouldn't he revert back to being like what he? Because he makes a very like distinct like, well, I'm not an Asgardian when he's like when Thanos is like, oh, Asgardian, referring to the fact he's actually this in MCU,
Yeah,
he's
the
straight
giant.
up frost giant.
Yeah.
So would he revert to whatever that natural state would be?
Would he turn blue? Is that what you're
Right.
asking?
Yeah. Wouldn't he turn blue if he was dead?
I don't
Like,
know.
dead?
Is the color of his skin his own illusion?
I think so.
Is that ever?
Because he does turn blue in I think the first movie.
Yeah, what he finds out.
Right.
But then he changed. I don't know if that's an illusion or not.
I thought he turned blue when he died in that movie.
Oh yeah. I think he did.
So that could be evidence towards his life. But then the ship explodes. So if that's the case, whoever
So was he long conning? Like, I'm not really dead. Ah,
Damn
Maybe.
did not plan for this.
and Isaac just farted, and I'm right next to his butt, so that's fun.
Did he smell his butt? That's how you know he farted.
I can smell his butt.
Nice.
He knows. He knows.
Oh,
what he did.
so all right. So at the very beginning,
we got Heimdall and Loki.
Heimdall, Loki dead, and then we have Hulk and Thanos squaring off.
I wouldn't really call that square. I'd be like a
Yeah,
sparring lesson.
well- Okay, so I guess Riva, you know more about the comics than any of us here. Thanos, no Power Stone. Could he take on Hulk? Probably not. Or one-on-one?
He
Probably
is-
not. Huh?
We talked.
We
about
already had
this.
this, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this already. You go ahead because you had more stuff for it.
Punch for punch, Hulk would be stronger than Thanos if Thanos did not have any power of the Soul Stones. But Thanos is easily a better fighter. So like what
much
we
smarter.
saw was probably Thanos getting amped up by the Power Stone, which is why he was doing so much damage. But like if Hulk punched him in the face full force, Thanos is not having a good day.
Yeah.
Like there have been interactions with Thanos and Hulk in the comics where Thanos has actively avoided a conflict with Hulk because he didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
It's not that he couldn't win, but it's one of those like
Too much chaos.
it's just like Jesus, nobody wins this kind of thing. Like I can win probably, but I don't want to fight you right now.
Yeah.
I actually really I really like that because in most of the other movies it's always been like we have a Hulk and that's kind of like the line they say and then Hulk comes in and just wrecks everyone.
And then Hulk comes in and
Yeah.
gets wrecked.
Yeah, they burned it right at the beginning to show that oh shit, Thanos with the
Thanos
Power
is-
Stone
He's
is
the real fucking deal.
yeah, is the most powerful thing in the universe. Not even and then I feel like with the rest of Hulk's story throughout the movie, I don't know what you guys thought, but she who shall not be named,
The administrator.
the administrator, thought that Hulk was just embarrassed because he got his ass whooped. And
I think it might be the case.
I think he
'Cause,
was scared.
well, like, there's a lot of the relationship between Bruce Banner and the Hulk that's still to be fleshed out because they end up having a more mutualistic relationship at the pinnacle of their
Yeah.
like what they are.
Right.
And right now it's Hulk or Banner, and they've yet to kind of merge themselves. They've yet to have that agreement. So maybe we'll get another movie where that gets fleshed out. But until then,
yeah,
Hulk is kind of either driving or not at all.
Mm-hmm.
And with this, it seems like he's just refusing to take the wheel for the rest of the movie. He's a,
I think he's scared is
Yeah.
what I think it is because I think it's the first time that Hulk has been like Hulk can't win, you know? Like I think it's the very first time that this happens because yeah, okay, he gets like technically if he were to go toe to toe with Thor would kick his ass, but like as we kind of saw in Ragnarok to a degree, but like kind of. But like still, I think it's one of those cases that he knows he cannot straight up win.
yeah.
So
Like Infinity Stone Thanos beats Hulk. Hulk knows this.
right, Hulk is scared.
Hulk no want fight Thanos.
yeah. And Thanos, I feel like too Thanos beat him so quickly as well. It almost didn't even. Because I wonder if it was a little more drawn out and Hulk started to get angry, if that would have helped. But he just like beat him so quickly that yeah, I think you're right. He's scared and embarrassed and is just
Yeah.
I want to fight this guy right now.
yeah. Which is funny because yeah, with Thor Ragnarok and after Avengers Age of Ultron and Thor Ragnarok, it was Hulk in control for like years,
I
and
think,
now
I think it was about 2 years.
yeah, and
Yeah.
now he's just like no, I'm
And
done.
we don't have any idea how long that is on Sakaar.
Right.
Because that area functions outside of what we believe to be the standard of time.
Right,
Like
so it could have
Grandmaster
been
tells
way
us that.
longer or way shorter. We
Yeah.
don't actually know. So
Shit.
Man,
speaking of time, I was very excited that we got a closer age on Thor for MCU. That was nice. That was like a nice little touch.
Which can almost bring us an idea of what they might do with the comics of, like, do they explore that timeline in Thor himself?
I don't know.
Like, do we get his age in the comics and see what happens when he's 1,500 years old?
I'm not actually sure. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Well, I remember at one point Odin saying he was 5,000 or so years old. So
that's like average lifespan, isn't it?
Yeah, so if 5,000 is an old Asgardian, it would make sense that 1,500 is like coming into like.
Yeah,
he's definitely it's not like coming of age,
prime.
but
Like
coming in, entering his prime type thing. So yeah, that was cool as well.
Especially with fucking Stormbreaker.
Yeah, and having lived that long, and then have in the span of what, like 2-3 years, he loses both his parents, his sister he didn't know about, and his brother. Mm-hmm. Like, and his home, and his best friend. Like, a very short amount of that time. Just.
When was Dark World where Freya gets killed? Was that 2012, 2013?
Yeah. So, I would say so. Okay, so maybe 5
But we
years
didn't.
ish.
Yeah. And his girlfriend.
And, yeah, but she didn't die. She broke up with him. That's different. I'm sure he's had other girlfriends and that long.
Nah, it's all human bitches.
I highly doubt that, and confirmed in comics, not the case. He prefers human bitches, but.
All right, so let's go back to Thanos a little bit. Hi, it's okay, Laura. I really appreciated how they fleshed out Thanos in this movie. His motivation, like, it's weird because I still think he's evil and insane, but I almost understand his motivation.
Lawful evil.
Yeah,
like a truly lawful evil.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. One of our dogs distracting us. There was no. The administrator brought this up in the car. There was no Lady Death introduced as the main motivation.
No.
And I'm kind of okay with that for the MCU, given that there's already so many characters to introduce another one.
I feel like in the MCU, in comics in general as well, having an incarnation of death is kind of a cop out.
Well,
like almost an omnipowerful character that I don't think we need in the movie universe.
Thanos gets more powerful than her in the comics, which turns into this whole like power shift at that point.
He never gets what he wants with her.
Right.
He did all this for her.
And then he becomes more powerful than her. I'm really glad that they aren't going that route, because every time I see Lady Death, all I can do is think about Deadpool and like that whole conflict that Thanos and Deadpool have, which makes me really excited for Deadpool 2, because Cable is being played by the same actor, so I can't wait for those jokes. But yeah, because I mean, Lady Death is in love with Deadpool because he can't die and this whole thing. So
I know, it's ridiculous, right?
It's insane, but it's comics. They're crazy, and it makes them fun. But yeah, so not having that element, I think, really kind of grounds it a little more.
It gives Thanos. It forces Thanos to have more of a rationale.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, I'm destroying half the universe as a gift for literal death, or to be like, no, I want balance. I want order. I want my supposed salvation.
Yeah, and I like to on Titan how he used the Reality Stone to kind of show what Titan was.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very clear. Like I lost my civilization because they wouldn't listen to me, because they wouldn't go along with my balanced plan. So I'm going to
my universal genocide.
Yeah, so I'm going to extrapolate this onto everyone. Yeah, again, still fucking insane and evil, but I get it. And
if you were as crazy as he was, and it gives it, it makes us believe like he thinks he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, and he's still like, what he did to Gamora, again, horrible, fucked up, wrong, but he did still care for Gamora in his own way, and that was the only way. And yeah, so that's how he got the Soul Stone.
That's proof of it.
Yeah.
That had like the only proof that he needs.
Yeah, and I like how Riva, you and I talked about this during our walks. Like, I like how they didn't just cop out with the Soul Stone and say, oh, it's in Captain, oh, it's on like Wakanda. Like, it's actually somewhere that you have to go to. Which is what's that guy's name?
Red Skull?
The Red Skull, yeah. That was sort of a strange cameo.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I mentioned this to Riva. I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
How Red Skull was brought back into it. I'm totally okay with his character being around, because Red Skull's Red Skull and Hugo Weaving is Hugo Weaving. But-
I think it was recast for this movie.
That wasn't Hugo?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
Because when I
Wasn't
first
Agent
heard him,
Smith?
when
I
I
don't think so.
when I first heard him, I thought it sounded like Littlefinger, that actor.
Yeah.
But didn't know.
Yeah.
Let's just look up Hugo Weaving.
I do sort of. I would have liked maybe like a I don't even know if a flashback is right, but like I would have sort of liked to see him wipe out Xandar and get the Power Stone. He kind of just shows up with it.
I like that they didn't show that.
Yeah.
Because I think it made it a little more like, I don't know, just that moment where he's like, yeah, I got it from Xandar. Or just like, it was one of those, like, he's so powerful that he didn't have to show it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
I
that makes sense.
It kind of hammers home the thought of like, it's too late to stop him.
Yeah, well, yeah, because
Like,
it's sort of it was really smart to get the Power Stone first.
Yeah, like we open up to Xandar having been wrecked, and he just like 6 hours ago is met with the Thor Ragnarok finale.
Mm-hmm.
A couple hours later, Infinity War starts.
Yeah.
After everyone's almost dead, after Thor just got his ass kicked off screen,
Yeah, I also like that was off screen too.
and like we come in right at the pinnacle of that, like a Greek epic kind of thing. Like everything is already happening when we come in.
Mm-hmm.
It's already started. We're not at the very beginning. This is chapter 3.
Yeah, seriously.
I think it was really like when we were sitting there watching it the second time for us, like that opening scene felt like the prologue, and then I feel like right after that is Act 1. I feel like this was the setup for what was about to come. So, because we had, like, the very opening is the closure of Ragnarok, and then it immediately jumps to blanking. Even though I've seen this twice now, I should know the sequence.
Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah, so in Infinity War, the first, like, very
Yeah.
first thing we see is, like,
Oh,
the
then it goes
prologue.
to Doctor Strange.
Right, and then it jumps straight to that. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's where Act 1 began. So, because I feel like we needed to see Banner end up in New York. And I feel like right there is Act 1. And so it did feel like kind of like a Greek epic.
Yeah.
And I think they showed us what we needed to see. I don't think they had to show us everything.
Okay.
Because
yeah.
otherwise we would have seen destruction for 3.5 hours.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
I get you,
Xandar,
yeah.
Asgard, the Asgard ship, and things like that. So, and Red Skull was recast, so it was someone from The Walking Dead. Yeah, but not Hugo.
And also, the guy that plays Wong from Doctor Strange, his last name is actually Wong. I just looked that up.
Long, you're invited to my wedding.
Yeah, that was great. Okay, yeah. So where are we? Where are we chronologically?
You want to talk more about Thanos, or
Um.
about his little knights,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Black Order.
the
The Black Order. All right. Let's talk about Ebony Maw, I guess. So yeah, he's got some telekinetic power.
There was
He's
I remember
Yeah.
I remember seeing multiple articles spit out about theorizing what was going to happen with the
Black Order.
the Black Order, and how they might end up being the next arc beyond Thanos, but I guess not.
Maybe beyond Avengers 4, but
No,
no, I don't think
all
so.
No.
four of them
Yeah,
got killed.
They're all crushed.
Unless Maw somehow telekinesis himself
Yeah.
out of there.
Speaking of that was
hilarious.
one of my favorite parts of the movie. How Cap and Spider-Man are. It's actually just no, it's not Cap. What the hell am I talking about? Iron Man.
Your powers are inconsequential to mine.
Yeah, he's like,
The kids see more movies.
and then whoosh, sucked out into space.
I really enjoyed. He's like, have you seen this really old movie, Aliens?
Yeah.
Right. Ross Marquand,
Yes,
Red Skull.
he's from Walking Dead.
What does this guy look
Who's
like?
he play?
He plays one of the guys. I can't remember his name.
I'm looking up. He's Aaron.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah,
Good
cool.
for him. Good for him. Nice little cameo.
Yeah. Let me see.
Yeah, I love when Marvel does shit like that. And that happened with the other guy too, the big guy, when he was fighting. Oh, it's okay, Luna. When he was fighting Bruce Banner in the Hulkbuster.
Yeah.
How he was whooping his ass, and then he just puts the arm on him, and he
Yep.
shoots him up into the shield, and the shield just obliterates him.
Yeah.
I like when people who are weaker outsmart the person, or in this case, Yeah, I mean, Ebony Maw was undoubtedly super smart, but just underestimated.
You can't really outsmart the vacuum of space.
Yeah, exactly. And then that quick little scene where it's like, he starts freezing up.
Well, I thought it was really interesting that he was like those things he was using on Doctor Strange. He's like, yeah, these were used for like microsurgery or whatever.
I wonder on whom.
On whom? Nah.
No, Nebula.
Oh.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Every time Gamora beat her, he replaced a part. Thanos didn't do it.
Oh.
I thought it was
shit.
Maw.
Probably. Well, I was thinking, I just thought it was like a nice, because, I mean, Doctor Strange was a neurosurgeon. So the fact he was having, like, these microsurgery tools being used on
against him.
Yeah, that I really, really liked. I thought that was, like, a cool thing. And, like, even later on, because in Doctor Strange, he had the, like, surgery on his hands with those scars. The scars showed up at... I don't know if he had them the whole time. I wasn't, like, obsessively watching his hands till the end. But when he was, like, sitting defeated on Titan, he's got the scars on his hands.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really nice detail.
Come on, Luna. Come on. Yeah.
Good girl.
Okay. What else? Oh, okay. So who did you guys predict would die?
I knew Vision was going to die from the very beginning.
Okay.
That was
Like,
this trailer
I'm pretty
spoiler.
sure all of us knew that was about to
Well,
happen.
the spoiler for me with Vision was that he died at the end.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to
Yeah.
die
Like,
right at
first
the
5
beginning.
seconds, yeah.
Yeah.
And it all looked like it was about to happen.
Yeah.
Black Panther was a surprise.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think
We'll,
Black Panther...
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to all of that later.
I think a lot of the surprises came at the finale with who ended up getting dusted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really thought either Iron Man or Captain was not going to make it out of the movie.
So here's my theory, along with the administrators. So remember when Doctor Strange went into the future with the eye of
Agamotto.
and he said he's seen 14 million or whatever outcomes, and we only saw one.
14,605,000.
That only one.
There was only one where he won.
Yeah.
I'm betting that one somehow it's Tony Stark that saves everyone.
Yeah, we talked about this in the car too,
Yeah.
because it's like it had. I think that's the only reason he gave up the stone.
Yeah.
Because it was so begrudgingly. He was just like, "Ugh, yeah, you can have it," kind of like attitude. Like he clearly didn't want to.
And like all of this has been focused a lot. Tony Stark has been the focal point of all of this since the beginning, and he's the one that's taking the emotional brunt of almost all of this. And he's the one that's been thinking about it for years and years and years, and
I
like
think-
not knowing what to do.
He's gonna end it,
So-
and I think it's gonna end Stark, and that makes me really sad.
Look at Riri Williams, maybe.
I sad, but appropriate. I think if in Avengers 4, Tony Stark saves everyone somehow, and it was all because Doctor Strange saved him here.
Yeah, that'd be pretty dope.
Man, that must have been crazy seeing 14 million outcomes in like 15 seconds.
Don't worry, he had time.
That's true. Yeah, very true. Oh man, I wonder. I almost feel like it was underutilized, but I guess the Eye of Agamotto. But I guess you never really know.
Well, like if Doctor Strange hit it, doesn't matter what Thanos does, he can't get it.
Yeah, and except unless he gives it to him, because he has to, because that's the only way they will win somehow. Yeah.
Oh my god,
Spider-Man new suit's fucking badass.
that was so awesome.
I love how he's like juggling every unconscious galaxy guardian in midair, like on
Sorry, I keep forgetting your names.
just,
But that was such a Spider-Man thing, though. Like
Yeah.
his biggest thing is saving other people. So like that, the fact he was on like save people duty, like
Makes sense.
That.
So I actually have a question about the Reality Stone. Is there like a proximity thing? So like if you move away, because remember he turned Drax into stone, he turned
turned like all of
Mantis into whatever the hell that was.
He like stringed her.
Yeah, and then when
She's a slinky.
when he
they're-
leaves, they kind of revert
Yeah,
back.
and the entirety of Nowhere was a giant illusion.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like
I don't know.
I don't know if it's as long as he is focusing on it that reality maintains, but it's still not real.
Yeah.
I don't know how much power that actually has, because almost everything we saw him do was undone at some point.
Which is interesting. It sort of makes that, I don't want to say the weakest stone, but I guess it has to be, because otherwise then it's the most powerful one if you can just
You can
change
just rewrite
reality at a whim. Yeah. Huh. Shit.
It might have a proximity, or it has a focus, but because
Like he has to be
right.
channeling it the entire time, kind of thing.
Yeah, because also like we had talked about this after seeing the first time. The reason Thanos doesn't seem as powerful as he even could be is it takes him a second to use any of the stones.
Like
he's not proficient in it yet.
Yeah, like my biggest thing was like, if he has all 6 Infinity Stones, you just can't win. You just lose. Like, how are you supposed to beat him? But like they did a really good job at enforcing that Thanos's consciousness is his biggest weakness. Like, he still has the attention span of a humanoid being. Mm-hmm. He still only has the senses that he's born with, kind of thing. If he didn't see it coming, it can still get him, no matter how strong he is.
So, and this is a question for you, Riva. So, in the comics, with the is it just at his thought things? Does he actually have to clench his fist like in the movie?
I don't understand.
Because that was a huge part on Titan when they're fighting him, when they're literally just like keeping him from clenching his fist.
Yeah, keeping him from like triggering it. I know they did the animated movies for the Infinity War, and I'm gonna be like that idiot that's trying to talk about it even though he hasn't seen it. But I saw a few fight scenes from it. He did look like he had to have it closed, it was the trigger for using the gauntlet, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Those aren't the comics either. That could be another adaptation.
Yeah, because also they are changing a lot of things. Because also some of these comics, they either had to take out characters or change character origin stories and all this stuff. Like Scarlet Witch is case in point. Her entire origin is completely different.
She was a mutant.
Right, instead of being connected to the Mind Stone, which I think this was a really good way of going about it for the MCU. So, because also visuals in comics don't necessarily translate to screen the same way.
Yeah, like Vision himself doesn't have the Mind Stone in the comics.
Right. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff like that like, and Vision in the most recent run looks like Vision from the movies, but prior to that he doesn't look anything like that. No. Which was actually really cool, and like the recent one where Vision's like, I'm gonna have a family, and it all goes haywire. But yeah, I did really enjoy how powerful they made Scarlet Witch, because that is she's way more powerful than that.
What is she, S-class? What is it called?
I don't remember what the class is, but she is the only other person besides Jean Grey that can tap into the Dark Phoenix Force.
Benjamin what's his name? Franklin Richards can, but he's a mutant, so he's not in that.
Right, and he's not born
in that
yet.
tier.
So even if those characters are existing in the background somewhere of MCU, he would not be born yet. So it wouldn't matter.
What?
Going back to Titan, I love when they introduce Tony Stark and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange to the Guardians, and it's just like this fucking insane Mexican standoff.
Why is Gamora?
And that was Drax too. Like, you know who that is, dummy. But fuck, yeah, Drax low int on that guy. Although it's not even low int. That's like low wisdom, I guess.
Well, he's just so literal. Like, so some of it, I'm sure, just he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
So he's like trying to like bridge that.
Who is Gamora? Why is Gamora?
I'll do you one better.
But how long have you been standing there?
An hour.
and then when Tony Stark first, they get through their Mexican standoff, and Tony Stark, like, they literally gave him like 10 seconds of just like. Like, it's just setting in that, like, these people are stupid. I'm stuck here on a fucking moon of Saturn with a 15-year-old, a doctor, and a bunch of idiots. And Star-Lord's like, I'm from Missouri. Yeah, it's in the United States.
That's on Earth, dipshit.
Which master do you serve? Do you mean Jesus? Oh, you're from Earth.
What the hell am I supposed to say?
Your math right now is blowing my mind.
I love how, and this is true with all the Marvel movies, but even with this one, like we'll get to the ending in a bit, but the ending is dark as fuck. But before that, like, they intermix comedy and seriousness so well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's always been, because that's one of the complaints that me and the administrator have about DC. It's always dark, and that whenever there's comedy, it feels kind of forced. But with the Marvel, the writing is just so good.
there's been I know a lot of people that have complained that they'd rather it be one or the other. Like they thought Thor Ragnarok was too goofy kind of thing, and I'm just like, do you know what kind of movie you're watching? Like what the goal of it is? And it's like these movies are supposed to be both. They're meant to be taken because that's in a way that's what life is.
Yeah.
You don't just have one setting.
It's like the comedy formula for like Shakespeare. Like you have to have comedy for a tragedy to work. It doesn't work without the light
If
moments.
it's just all tragedy,
It doesn't work. Yeah, and I've actually read a couple complaints already being like, oh, the funny moments in this movie were too long. I don't think they were long enough. I think that in some cases I think it balanced really well because
you're mocking my voice.
even those scenes did feel like that scene felt a little run on, but I liked that it felt like that because it felt very authentic to both Ragnarok and Guardians. Like it felt like how those movies felt if they met. So I thought that was a really good balance. So like I have to say like the writing the writing team on this movie, kudos. Like
writer from this movie, writer from this movie, writer from this movie. Let's just cram all in a room together.
Yeah. Obviously, I feel like it's a little too soon to state, but I think this might turn out to be my favorite Marvel movie, just because of how. I read somewhere that this is the biggest crossover event in movie history, and I don't know, like if you can find another case for it.
There are 18 preceding, like Marvel movies leading up to this, and almost at least one character from every single one of those movies is prominent in at least one.
Yeah.
And I think there was a counter saying I think 60 named characters from preceding Marvel movies are in this film.
I think so.
Like that we are
That
familiar
seems right.
with. Up to 60 of them. I would say it's probably the highest, the most.
Yeah.
It seems pretty nuts.
Yeah, and the way they brought, I guess the only ones that weren't in this were Ant-Man.
Ant-Man and Hawkeye.
Ant-Man and Hawkeye, yeah. Hawkeye's doesn't really have his own thing, though. Ant-Man does.
Well,
Ant-Man and the Wasp. But,
Hawkeye doesn't have his own MCU thing.
Yeah.
Two of them.
But
I wonder, though, I read a theory somewhere that what might bring Hawkeye out is like half his family's dead, so now he's going to be like, what the fuck? No.
yeah, if he's not gone too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, shit. The Wakanda battle, what'd you guys think?
I think that was. I liked seeing Zerg on the big screen.
Yeah. I liked when what's the general's name?
M'Baku? Or
Is that her name?
no? The female?
Yeah.
Michonne.
Yeah, the gal Denai
Proxima.
Guraya. She plays Michonne in Walking Dead. I don't remember her character's name. This is getting Game of Thrones, I guess, because like so many characters, I can't keep track of them all. But I like when she was like, why isn't Scarlet Witch down here for the whole time?
Oh yeah, she's hands down like one of my favorites. I loved her in Black Panther, and in this she was just.
Why wasn't she here from the start?
and then when
I thought we were gonna get a Starbucks, like.
Olympics, maybe a Starbucks.
and then when she and Black Widow were fighting, what's her Proxima Midnight? I think is her name.
Or Midnight Proxima.
I really liked, whatever. Proxima Midnight.
Whatever.
I really like that scene too, because it's like, these two just humans at their pinnacle can take this demon
and like
bitch.
And like in the beginning as well, because it showed like you don't have to be stronger than them, but they are better fighters. They're better strategy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they look like a lot of the Dark Knights or whatever the hell.
Black Order?
Black Order. Yeah, Dark, Black,
Dark
that
Knight.
thing.
It's a bunch of Batmans.
It's like they had a lot big reliance on just being better.
Yeah.
And now Black Widow shows up and it's like, I'm not bigger or badder, but I am faster than you, and I know how to fight more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's definitely got experience on her side. I consider experience. Like,
we already talked about that. Loki's dead.
Poor Loki. Well, maybe.
Maybe. Question mark.
Okay.
Yeah, no, the Wakanda battle was intense.
That was sick.
It was really sick. I was a little, like, I understand where Scarlet Witch joined the fight, but I was like, when we saw it the first time, I was like, oh no, she fucked up. Like, the second the Proxima Midnight was like, she's on the field. I was like, no!
No one defending Vision.
Yeah, they needed somebody, there, because then, everyone got knocked out. Poor Shuri ended up on the floor. So.
Poor Shuri.
Yeah.
Okay, the ending.
Let's
talk about it. All right, who'd we lose? We lost Bucky. That was the first one, right? That was the first one.
Yeah, and then we lost T'Challa right after.
T'Challa. Scarlet Witch.
Yep.
She was like, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, she decolorized right before, which I thought was really like I wasn't sure if I was like trying to see if everyone else decolorized right before. Some of them did, but like hers was really obvious, and I was like,
Sam Wilson.
Sam Wilson,
So
yeah.
Falcon.
Groot. Yeah.
Oh. We got
think that
Doctor
was-
Strange.
Yeah, those were all the ones on Earth.
Yeah,
And then-
Doctor Strange, Drax,
Mantis.
Mantis.
So we basically
Spider-Man,
lost all
and
the
Peter
Guardians. We lost all the Guardians
Except
except
Rocket.
Yeah.
Quill. And Peter Quill. So we got 10 major characters
Gone.
named. Just poof.
And then the end credits. We get 2 more.
And then we got
Yeah.
Nick motherfucking Fury and Maria Hill.
Oh man, watching Spider-Man die was like, ooh, that sucks.
Yeah, they really wanted that to hurt.
Yeah, and especially
it hurt.
Why does that hurt?
especially
Tony Stark.
especially given Tony Stark's arc over the past several movies of how like haunted he's been by everything that happens, and now he's like directly responsible
Yep.
for Spider-Man dying.
And he was left on Titan with Nebula,
Yeah.
who he didn't even meet as far as we know.
Yeah, that's a strange
And
team up.
and no one else is there.
Yeah.
So it's just the 2 of them. And maybe the Guardian ship is there somewhere,
Or
but
Nebula's ship, whatever she met them with.
right. But that's it. He knows no one. He's stranded on a planet who knows where. Like
Well, isn't Titan Saturn's moon, or is it?
no,
No,
that's
it's
a different
not.
Titan.
Well, that technically is Titan. Yes,
But it's a
but I don't-
different Titan. It's not that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Titan was not that close.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's stranded who knows where, and with an alien that he doesn't know. So yeah.
Damn it, Isaac! Fucking with my microphone. My dog's like laying on the microphone. Yeah, that was again, as much as they intermixed comedy really well in it, it ended so dark. And I was, like when you guys came over, because we were sitting in the front, when you guys came over and you're like, so what's up? And I was actually happy because I really think a lot of books and shows and movies always take kind of the easy way out.
They're afraid to go dark.
Yeah, they're afraid to like take the big creative risk, and I am super impressed with Marvel doing this because this was I mean, I think the only way that it could have been darker is if they all died.
But then end series.
Yeah, exactly. But then we'd have to do a lot of weird time shenanigans in the next one.
Well, I think that's why we only have 2 movies between this and the next one.
And I don't think they're dead. Because one of the big things that when we looked up on Friday or on Thursday, the powers of the Infinity Stones, and the Soul Stone specifically has a very unique power, and it almost kind of creates its own plane of existence. Like you can be on the soul plane, you can have that like kind of, it's more than an astral projection kind of thing. And Thanos has done it before in the comics where he's traveled to the soul plane.
I think that's where Gamora is. I think that's where he sees
Yeah.
her.
I would not be surprised if the people that got taken, that got sacrificed, balanced, whatever you want to call it, were all like sucked into the soul plane. If that's a route they decide to take, I think that would be the easiest way that they could get them back in an MCU, like from in a movie standpoint, without retconning, like rewriting time, without using the time Infinity Stone to just go back however far they need to.
I don't think they're like, I was thinking about this because initially I was like, oh, they're gonna reset time with the time stone, easy. But the more I've been like thinking about it, the more I'm thinking I don't think they're gonna reset time.
Like that would be the easy way out.
Yeah, I think eventually someone will get a hold of the Infinity Gauntlet, snap, everyone comes back. But I think time still will have passed. I don't think they're gonna reset time. Or what would be super ballsy, but I don't think Marvel's gonna do it, is if those characters stayed dead.
There's no way they're gonna keep Spider-Man dead.
Yeah,
Unless they did Miles Morales or somebody else, but I don't think they're going to. But that would be hella ballsy.
they also already have Guardians 3
It's true.
planned. So
Guardians 3, unless they want to just do Rocket Raccoon the movie.
They could do Rocket and they bring in like Kitty Pryde from the Mutants, just being like, surprise! Here's all the mutants. We're gonna make them Guardians now. Let's have Captain Marvel and Kitty Pryde because they're both Guardians at one point.
Why not?
It's Captain Marvel, Kitty Pryde, and Rocket.
And no, Sylvester Stallone as well. Let's bring that
Oh
back.
yeah, maybe it's them.
yeah, it sucks
That
because
team up.
I don't like that. That's sort of like meta thinking, right? That's thinking outside of, like I don't like. Oh well, they're gonna come back because there's a movie. Like I wanna it's interesting
Yeah,
like how they'll actually make it work.
Andrew Garfield had a Spider-Man 3 until
Yeah.
until he fucked that up. So.
Yeah, because I mean, also there's like not a whole lot of information out there. Like, I mean, Avengers 4 is still untitled, so like maybe they're waffling it, and they're like maybe.
I read that a couple months ago when they first decided they were going to change the name of Infinity Wars Part 1 and Part 2 to Infinity War or Marvel Captain America to Avengers Infinity War, and the second part was going to be changed into something else. A lot of it, the second portion of the article stated that it was going to be a Thanos-centric movie, like from his perspective. So maybe that's going to start on Xandar and we're going to get more from him, or maybe it's going to be from this point forward. Like, now that I've just wiped out half the universe, what do I do?
Yeah.
Picks up painting, starts watching a bunch of Bob
Become
Ross videos.
Become a farmer.
Yeah.
I wonder too. I don't, did you guys see the Infinity Gauntlet? Did it look like it was fried?
It was
Yeah.
crumpled.
It's crushed.
It was.
Okay,
It was.
so
Yeah.
you're not using that again,
I don't think you can use all 6 of them more than once. I think that's what they're trying to illustrate. Like
or at least not. They'd have to make another one. So maybe that's maybe
who's
they're.
gonna do that?
Well, they saw the Peter Dinklage, giant Peter Dinklage is still alive,
True.
right?
Yeah,
But-
they might have the mold, but
They do. It was at the star. It was
yeah,
right there.
I don't think.
I think it's going to demand like a sacrifice, like a humanoid
bigger.
sacrifice. I think someone's going to have to die to reuse them again.
Yeah.
Because if we wanted to try and predict from the comics, then we know Adam Warlock is going to be a major figure in Avengers 4.
Yeah, and he was like an Easter egg at the end of Guardians.
He was Easter egg at the end of Guardians 2. Do you know who that is?
I've read about him. Yeah.
And like, that's why I think
He
the Soul
originally
Stone,
has the Mind Stone, right? Or
Yeah.
is it
Soul Stone.
the Soul
yeah,
Stone?
that's why I think the Soul Stone is gonna have the major part to play, because Adam Warlock is perceived in many circumstances as the owner of the Soul Stone. And after Infinity War, when we looked it up, he was labeled as like the guardian of the Soul Stone. So like, if Adam Warlock shows up, it would make sense that maybe he'd be one of the few people who has the power to access the Soul Stone to bring everybody back, if that's where they are.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe Miles Morales.
Or maybe it's Miles Morales.
When is the next Spider-Man? It's so
Well,
yeah.
coming
There's only Captain Marvel and Ant-Man and the Wasp between.
Yep. So Ant-Man and the Wasp is July. Captain Marvel is next year, and then Avengers 4 is like May next
When's
year.
Captain Marvel? I thought it was holiday season.
I think it's March.
What, next March?
Yeah, I
I
thought it
would
was
be
next March.
surprised.
I thought it was next like February, March, because
'cause-
it would be the same time lap that they had between Black Panther and Infinity.
Yeah,
War.
because Avengers 4 is like this time next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's currently slated for the first week of May, but I hope they bump it forward a week again, because then Marvel will be giving me another birthday present. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you? You could barely handle this one.
yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe 28 is my lucky number, and they just make everything great. I mean, this was pretty good though. Or everyone stays dead, and that'll be my birthday present too. Who knows?
Jesus.
they're like, oh, we found another Spider-Man. Look, it's Miles Morales. Or, who knows?
I'm not against the Miles Morales Spider-Man, but I do really like this one. I hope they bring him back.
Yeah, Tom
I like
Holland's
Tom
doing
Holland.
He
good
was
job.
a perfect cast.
Yeah.
So.
And he's British.
Which I had
He's
no
fucking
idea.
British? Jesus.
Yeah, there was an interview he was
He's
doing.
British, American accent. Peter Dinklage is American, but he's always doing his
Martin Freeman, British,
Tyrion
American accent.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's doing, there's a lot of really good accent work on these films. Like, Black Panther, I think almost everyone was doing an accent that's not native to them.
Yeah.
So, which was really cool.
Yeah, what's Chadwick Boseman's accent?
He's American.
He's actually American.
Yeah, he's
so, yeah.
So he
American.
speaks with an American
I
accent.
think he's from like North Carolina.
Yeah. But
How y'all
Chadwick
doing?
Boseman, he was very insistent in Civil War about
Having the
T'Challa
proper accent.
having a non-colonized accent.
Yeah.
So, which I thought was like such a great like thing to do, and it kind of cemented the Wakanda accent.
When he man. So I really enjoyed sort of going off that, but like when Thanos said that when he'll do his genocide thing, that he would be indiscriminate, like between kings and poor people, and I was like, so when T'Challa came over to the general, I was like, this is no place to die, and I was like, oh shit, and then he missed. I was like, In a way, like, again, Thanos, evil, fucked up, but there's this weird honor there, like, where it was fair, yeah.
A fair wipe out half, but I don't. It wasn't really fair though, if you really think about it, because Drax's planet already had this half genocide thing. Yeah. So what happens to the planets that Thanos already wiped half out of? Are they now a quarter of the population? Did he just extra fuck those planets?
Yeah. Now we're down to like maybe 30%.
Yeah, because Drax already lost like his wife and daughter.
Yeah.
From Thanos, like.
That's a good point.
Mantis was the only one we know of being like her race. You know what I mean? Yeah. So did he just? Is it half of the whole population? And so maybe some planets are down to like 10%, and some planets only had 10% taken, or is it half of each species or half of each planet? Because if it's half of each planet, even then on Titan, unless there were other people hanging out on Titan, on that was not half. Yeah. So it was more than half. So
these are logistical questions for the Infinity Stones Commission.
I'll be like, I'm writing you because your math sucks.
For planets
Who are
that
you,
Thanos
Peter
already
Quill?
went to. For planets that Thanos already went to, were they just avoided?
Because if that's the case, then like in some ways they got better off from this point on, this point, you know. But if they weren't, then they extra got fucked.
I don't really know if that's the right questions we should be asking, though. I feel like it's just half.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah, I think it's a general half.
Talking about Peter Quill, I don't know if it's his fault, but it's kind of his fault.
It's totally his fault. That gauntlet was like on the hooks of his fingers. Yeah. Like Spider-Man had it in his hands. Yeah. Oh, but I mean, not that. I don't think it really would have mattered because none of them could have wielded it without killing themselves. Mm-hmm. So what were they gonna do? None of them could really hold an Infinity Stone. Except Doctor Strange.
I guess, I mean, just having it off Thanos, all of them could probably take Thanos, like vanilla Thanos, right? Yeah. So just doing that would have been enough, probably.
Yeah.
So maybe despite all the chaos he caused.
He did, like, break apart his own moon and throw it at them.
Yeah, but he did that with the Power Stone.
Yeah, I know. So it's like, not being able to do that would give them a better advantage, you know?
Shit, that moon, that was crazy.
Throw another moon at me again. I'm gonna be real angry.
That's one of my favorite parts, when you see him just turn back at them after doing that, and you see the moon, like, the pieces of it just burning into the atmosphere. I'm like, holy fuck. This is nuts.
Shit.
Yep.
What else? Fuck, I don't know what else. That was an awesome movie.
Well, if everyone stays dead, then I think M'Baku might go for the crown.
I was having double vision at the end, but I didn't see that coming.
I fucking hate you. What? Vision died twice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was fucked up. Like, half get wiped out, but then Vision's, like, already dead, so.
Oh, that was such a bummer. Like, Scarlet Witch was just having a really rough day.
Yeah. Honestly, though, I don't know why they just didn't agree to kill him earlier. Like, because Vision was, like, straight up, like Vision is a composite of Tony, Bruce, Jarvis, and the Mind Stone. Why would they not listen to him if he says that this is probably the right idea?
Dude, just kill me.
Like, how many people died to protect Vision? Like, you know what I mean?
Who would have accepted death earlier.
Who was seeking it
because we don't trade lives.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm Steve Rogers.
So you don't trade Vision's life for Steve Rogers, okay, sure, but like...
I'm Steve Rogers, and I morally have the high ground at all times.
Yeah. But I mean, think about all those Wakandan soldiers who died, or, just like... And the space dogs, but...
Well, his biggest weakness is his uncompromising humanity.
Oh, yeah,
he doesn't see the necessity for sacrifice. He thinks there's always a way around it when sometimes there's not.
Yeah. Although, as Vision pointed out, like... It's exactly what he did in the first movie. He sacrificed himself, so he's a hypocrite, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did like that he addressed that. He was like, hey.
I remember seeing after Age of Ultron, there was a big a big prediction on what was going to happen in the next couple movies, and one of them was that Vision and Scarlet Witch were going to be a thing.
Because they are in the comics.
Because they are in the comics, and it was mostly...
It was very clear, like...
Yeah, and it was like that scene where Vision saves Scarlet Witch from the Sokovia when it's all crashing down, and he's like, you see that look Vision just gave her? That's more than just a look. There's something going on. Oh, by the way, there's also canon evidence.
But, like, also, the actors' chemistry was good, too. So, like, that, I think, has a lot to do with it and whether or not things actually happen in movies to a degree. I think, like, DC has that really big failing with their CW shows. Like, they're like, oh, these characters are together in the comics, they have to be together in the movies, and then
the actors are like, fuck that.
Right, like, you know, Arrow and Black Canary have no chemistry on screen, but they force it, and then it looks like garbage. Whereas I think this was a case of the actors had good stage chemistry and were able to, like, bring this romance arc to life. So
make it believable.
Yeah. So also same with Tony Stark and Pepper Potts. That whole like their like jogging scene was just undeniably cute as hell. So cute. And just it was so them.
Well.
Yeah, like that was a really nice build up, like over the course of 3 movies, because that was the first time that they were like acknowledged it openly on screen.
That they are a thing.
Yeah. Right. I prefer to think of myself as a Titan killing long-term booty call. Like, what a quill thing to say. But like it built up nicely over 3 movies instead of being like, movie 1, hey look, let's have a romance. It was just like that it made sense in its build-up, and it built authentically instead of be like, oh, these characters, we're just gonna make them smash.
We didn't save the day, and now you're my bitch. No, you saved the day, and you told me I'm an idiot. In the next movie, we're like, kind of like each other, but you still tell me I'm an idiot. Damn it.
Let's talk about the motherfucking end scene. Bonus scene.
Post-credit scene?
Post-credit scene. There was only one.
Yeah.
It was supposed to have
really
30.
Yeah.
So that thing that he sent, that's to Captain Marvel.
Yes.
That was like an old... That looked like... What was that? Like a pager?
It looks like an old school pager.
Or a beeper? Like one of those things that you give a contractor?
Yeah. I'm really, really interested to see how they explain Captain Marvel's absence. And I wonder if... Riva and I were talking about this earlier. Maybe that's some time thing.
I don't know.
You know, because, like, where is she if not? Unless she's out in
I would
the
be
universe.
surprised if she's on another planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If she's just somewhere else. Because she can do that. She could just be wherever she wants to be.
Yeah, she is so OP. It's insane.
And that's what they need right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
like,
I
she...
think...
Sorry. I think she would be strong enough. Of any of them that's left, Thor's got Stormbreaker. I wouldn't be surprised if she was strong enough to hold the Infinity Gauntlet. If that's a route that they tried to bring her down.
Yeah, because I think... I don't know if she is in the comics or not, but I would not be surprised. She is insanely OP.
Yeah. And also bringing her into the fold... This is a tangent that I mentioned with Riva before. Bringing Captain Marvel into the fold while Tony Stark is still alive brings them the ability to end Tony Stark's run.
Because at the end of Civil War II in the comics, she punches him into a coma. So...
They didn't have a good day.
You're saying he deserved it.
No. He was actually, in Civil War II, he was, at least in my opinion and perspective, he was more in the right than she was.
It was a lot of disagreements over absolutes that she was not willing to compromise on, even if it was for the greater good kind of thing.
It got to the point that Steve Rogers came back out of the woodwork and went, "No, I side with Tony."
And she's like, "No, we're not doing this." Blah blah blah. It was oversimplification, but like,
yeah.
Captain Marvel being in the fold gives them an avenue to remove Tony Stark in a way that's canonically accurate, and the Hulk, and Mark Ruffalo, in a way that's like makes sense, in a way that's incredibly powerful. Blah 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 blah. It covers all the bases that they want if they decide to, and there's no way that Tony Stark isn't going to cause.
And it would be a good way for them to introduce the mutants and humans as well, because there's been like whispers about them being introduced into the fold. Because if they did introduce mutants or Inhumans or both into the fold of this, that would also give them the root for Civil War II because they're incredibly important for it. Mm-hmm. Which I think could be really, really cool. And I think they have the capabilities, the technology, the ability to make that story work.
The Terrigen Cloud.
That's how
Ulysses comes to be, right?
Yeah.
So that'd be how I would...
No, I don't think it's a Terrigen Cloud. I think he gets it from because there was like the Terrigen crystals ended up at the ocean or something. He got in like fish oil. He got it secondhand somewhere.
Okay.
But he didn't get it from the cloud because the cloud is X-Men versus Inhumans
Yeah.
storyline.
Yeah.
Because the Cloud kills X-Men. So, which is why Inhumans and X-Men were having a conflict, because they were like, we don't want to die. And they're like, well, we want more Inhumans, so that sounds like a you problem.
Going back to overpowered characters, Thor.
Stormbreaker! Okay, but Groot holding it up, though.
Yeah,
That was like...
Groot was worthy.
Yeah.
Groot was
Oh, I didn't
worthy.
even think of
He was so worthy, he removed his own arm.
So
But
Stormbreaker follows the same rules as Mjolnir?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Let's just say it does.
Let's just... Well, now,
Makes
it
us feel
wasn't
better.
fully assembled at the time.
Right.
It was
true.
just the weapon itself.
I don't think it does. I don't know for sure, but I don't think Stormbreaker does. It was specifically forged because there was another character that was able to hold Mjolnir, and Odin was like, no, we'll make you your own.
Okay.
That belongs to my son. No. So,
Yeah, once Thor... I love when he's like...
You guys are so screwed now.
Oh yeah, that, and he's like, I'm gonna go hold the gate up. It's like, you'll die. It's like, it'll kill you. It's like, only if I die. It's like, that's what killing you means.
well, I mean, but like Thor states it in like a scene or two before that, where he's like, well, I have nothing left to lose.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he has that moment, and he turns and he like wipes the tear off his face, because it's like, I think that is the moment where it clicks for him. He's like, it doesn't fucking matter anymore. I'm just gonna go because I don't have nothing left.
Yeah.
Like, he's lost everyone that really matters to him in that kind of way. Like, yeah, he has a bunch of people on Earth that he's friends with and wants to save, but they're not his family. They're not the people he's had in his life for, his long existence. So.
Yeah, when he showed up and was like, oh, okay. Thor's power level shown. There it is.
Because I think Ragnarok was so vital for him to unlock the amount of power he actually has.
Yeah.
Because he was always pretty subdued. And
not the god of hammers.
God of Hammers.
God of lightning.
I'm interested to see, following Thor, like, where his story goes from here. Because we're going to get the next step of it in the next Avengers. But I want to see more Thor movies, because now I think they figured out Thor.
Mm-hmm.
It took them 3 movies, but once they did, he makes sense now. And I think there's a lot of potential, because they're so, like, the Thor comics are just, I like them, they're fun.
Yeah, and all the, like, the first 2 Thor movies, and even in the third one a bit, like, he was, he's still arrogant. He's a god, basically. But I feel like most of that is gone now, and he has, like, this true calling.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. It's like, it seems like he didn't really have anything to challenge his, like, who he was in the first couple movies. It was just him being like, gotta kill this guy now. Gotta kill this guy now. It's just what I do. But now we got, in Thor 3 and Ragnarok, we got put in a situation where he has to change his game plan. He has to evolve in order to win.
Yeah. And I think it's also kind of reminiscent of what happens in, like, the Unworthy Thor comics, where they model him kind of like, it's really interesting. I don't know which one came first, but the Unworthy Thor and Ragnarok looks are very similar. And then he ends up with Stormbreaker.
Yeah.
And he, in Unworthy Thor, because that has to do with the whole Mjolnir is like, peace out, I don't trust you, I'm going to Jane Foster. Bye. And so it turns into this whole thing, but that's obviously oversimplifying, but like, he has this whole thing where he's like, well, I have nothing left, like, I might as well just, he kind of screws his head back on.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is very reminiscent of that version of Thor, and it's very nice to see. I think there's not the whole spectrum of that version, because in that version he also is like, sorry Jane, I had slept with all these other people, I'm sorry, and I can't afford to drink as much as I want to, which starts at the beginning of that run, and then at the end it's kind of fades out a little bit. But he, I think this has more of that core character kind of coming out. And
I hope Jane Foster dusted.
Fuck you!
Shit. All right, you guys got anything else?
I
I mean,
think Thanos was fucking awesome.
yeah, I
don't
really
know.
I was talking to Riva about this during our walks. I'm really happy that he's not a one and done villain.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy that they built up his character, because that makes it, not that any of the other Avengers villain, like Loki was great for that reason, because he was already established. Ultron, he's sort of an amalgamation of, like, a bunch of things, so he worked, but I feel like Thanos is definitely the best villain to date, given that he's sort of been the behind the scenes villain for most of the bad shit that the Avengers have had to deal with. And then now that he showed up, it's like, oh, okay. This guy's legit. He just beat us. And now we have to deal with it in another movie.
One thing that I brought up with Riva earlier is that the Red Skull showing up was interesting because he says that he was cursed to guard this place and blah blah blah, the Infinity Stone that he can't possess. But one of those weird tinfoil hat thoughts is like, who assigned him to do that? Because there's an entire tier of beings that are above everything we've seen so far, even Thanos, and like that Mistress Death is on, and
Eternity is the big one.
Eternity and order and law and chaos and death and
Celestials,
infinity, the Celestials, and like just the upper higher beings that have and the Watchers. From Guardians 2, we saw a glimpse of them.
Those weird face
they
dudes.
they exist. It's not. It's like soft confirmed that they're around.
So I wonder.
It's like who one of them may end up making an appearance and just Deus Machinaing everything.
And you wonder too if, like what we were saying, if we end up keeping a lot of these characters dead, but like Thanos killed half the universe, so presumably he killed half of these super powerful beings. That would probably.
I don't think they would be.
You don't think they're.
I don't think they would be counted in that.
You think they're exceptions to the rule?
Yes.
They are like Galactus wouldn't just disappear.
Yeah, that explain Galactus.
Why not though? Like I thought with all
Galactus
6, you're basically.
Yes, but like those Infinity Stones weren't always around. They were created.
You'd have to burn. Like, to kill something like that, you'd probably have to use the gauntlet with all 6 for that.
Galactus is older than the current universe.
Yeah.
So, like, he's existed before the Infinity Stones.
Shit.
So, like, all the higher beings, most of them, I think, came around in the creation of this current universe, but I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I don't know at what level they transcend that.
I have a feeling they probably won't deal with that.
They probably
in the
won't. Like, that
MCU,
might just get a little bit too crazy.
Yeah,
I think they'll have Easter eggs of it in the background for quite a while,
Yeah.
just to kind of like be like,
I
see that,
I wouldn't be surprised, though, if they brought in the Living Tribunal at some point.
I wouldn't either, but
think
I
that
don't
would
think
make
they're going to.
I think that one would make sense.
What do they do?
It's more or less like a cosmic judge.
Yeah.
And they've got...
I don't think they will, because I don't think we have enough, like, space, like, characters involved, if that makes sense. I think we're so concentrated on Earth, and, like, I mean, but also think about this. 2 Infinity Stones ended up on Earth. Like, that is really strange to think about.
And 2 were on Asgard.
Right.
Not at the same time,
like,
though.
so, and Asgard paid. But,
Yeah, seriously.
like, the fact that these stones, like, a couple of them ended up in the same place, just, I think that's also kind of interesting to think about. And the fact that they ended up, like, on Earth and with, like, humanoid type beings, you know what I mean?
The Tesseract and the Eye of Agamotto.
Yeah, like, those both ended up on Earth.
Yeah.
Like,
And the Mind Stone.
Mind
That's
Stone.
the Tesseract.
Oh.
No,
okay.
that's not the Tesseract.
No, I'm
the
sorry,
Mind Stone also ended up.
Yeah,
so
okay,
3
so 3,
different
yeah.
Infinity Stones
Eventually.
ended up on Earth through one thing or another. That's really, like, strange to think about, because it's like, what kind of forces are in play to get that to happen? Like, what makes Earth so attractive? And that is definitely something that's talked about often in, like, the comics and stuff. Earth has
is different
yeah,
somehow.
Earth is, like, you have the mutants, you have Inhumans, but, like, MCU, you've got, like, the Hulk happens, you have Iron Man happens, Doctor Strange happens, Spider-Man happens, all these separate events happen that all of these superpowered beings come to play. You know what I mean? Like, Black Panther happens. Like, there's too many things that just happen. So, and I think that kind of, it makes Earth really attractive for kind of cosmic events, you know? And in MCU, and I don't think it's just because, oh, all these stories take place on Earth, it's cheaper to film here, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
But, like, I think that's something they can use and play
I
with.
want an alien movie made by aliens. On an alien planet.
In an alien language.
I want the Grandmaster to wield the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I don't, because then there
I
would
don't
be...
either, but I want to see
It would be,
that.
not slaves, but what did he call them?
Prisoners with jobs.
Prisoners with jobs. Everyone would be a prisoner with a job.
Because, like, the end of the post-credits.
See, with Thor Ragnarok, we saw the overthrowing of Sakaar.
Yeah.
But we just see him look at them at the end and be like, "Oh, good, congratulations, everybody.
Let's call it a draw.
It's a tie." And then it cuts. Like, he's an elder. He's an elder one. You don't kill him.
Yeah.
He's okay.
No?
What is it?
Could he fight off a gang of like 30
the grand?
dudes?
What is it?
Yeah.
I think there's 5. I don't know all. I know the elder. I'm sorry, Grandmaster, Battlemaster, the Collector, Ego, and there's one other that are the.
I thought
elder
Ego
ones.
was a Celestial.
Ego is, if you go by the comic canon, he was an elder one, but I don't know what they named him in the movies.
In the movie, he calls himself a Celestial.
Yeah, he's
So
Celestial in the
maybe
movie,
that's
maybe
what
not.
maybe that's the Grandmaster is
Yeah,
on
but like
that
all
level.
of them in the comics are on a similar level of like crazy badassery. That's just
I
kind of
don't
under
think a
the
gang
radar.
of 30 dudes killed the Grandmaster.
Yeah, like the Collector.
That's what I always thought happened. Like right after the cut, they're all just like,
Oh.
No, I'm sure he got beat to shit, or they tried.
I'm sure he
but-
probably could just go like
Yeah, I think he just ended them.
wave his arm and they all just poof.
That's what I think happened.
'Cause
I think the Grandmaster chooses not to use his power because
Yeah.
he likes to use others.
he likes fun
I like punching.
Right.
and orgies.
Yeah, he
Yes, on his spaceship.
so
The liquefier stick.
yeah. he likes to play.
Yeah, he likes to play games and like so I'm sure he's gonna make some kind of cameo
Yeah.
in the future, whether it's Thanos related or not. Because I'm sure he'd rather not be involved in that whole conflict if he's not Celestial level. But at the same time, I think he's probably above the point where he's gonna get dusted away.
Yeah.
So he was probably annoyed though. He's probably hanging out in his homeworld, and then half his prisoners with jobs get wiped out.
He's just
Aw.
like, maybe watching a gladiator match and they're just running at each other. One of them just poofs. He's just like, God damn it.
So I'm like,
Someone-
well, you're the winner. Yay,
Yay! I bet on the other guy.
Shit, that was an awesome movie. That was well worth the hype and wait.
I had one guy at work, who shall not be named because I don't want to embarrass him, OMG, Josh, who thought it was going to be bad. His impression, because I said I was going to go see it that day. I thought it was Thursday afternoon. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to see Infinity War tonight. And then my friend Will, who's a cool guy, we like Will, is just like, oh man, I couldn't get to see it this weekend. All the tickets were sold out. I'm going to just stay off the internet for the next week. And I'm just like, dude, find a time in the weekday. Don't work an overtime shift. Just go see that movie. You will not be able to go on the internet for a while if you don't. And then Josh comes out and he's like, oh man, I don't even think that movie's going to be good. And it's just like, Josh, you can leave. And he's like, what? They're just going to run out of ideas and say, hey, let's just put everything together. I'm just like, have you even seen the movies?
What are you even talking about?
Do you even know?
Also, there is so much story left in like Marvel comics to use. Like a lot of it's bad. Don't use it, please.
Screw it. Fing fang foom.
What?
No.
Giant green dragon alien that shows up and terrorizes China. This is Marvel canon.
Hashtag facepalm.
How about we don't do that? I would also really enjoy nobody being frogs. That would be cool too.
Oh, you don't want frogs?
I don't want frog Darnell.
Captain Ginyu?
Ribbit. Oh shit! All right, we should end it. All right.
Like, I'm excited. This was awesome.
Yeah.
And
It was dark as fuck, and I'm happy it was.
yes.
Because now we'll tie it all up in a year.
Maybe everyone will stay dead.
And by the way, this is how many records do you think this movie's gonna break over the weekend? Because Avengers,
All of them.
yeah,
And
Avengers
Black
1,
Panther
yeah,
then
Avengers
toppled
1
a bunch of other records.
shattered the previous record for weekend showing box office hit. And then, like, every 3 movies that Marvel's put out since then has just inched it up a little more.
Yeah.
Like, broken the record just slightly. And then Wonder Woman comes out and shatters every record that was pertaining to.
Right, and then Black Panther
Black Panther shattered.
annihilated stuff. It was awesome.
I think it was Wonder Woman, was Beauty and the Beast around the same time? So no, that broke the record.
Case study in Stockholm Syndrome.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what I call Beauty and the Beast.
That's
Beauty and the Beast made a lot of money.
Separate. That's another podcast.
Yeah, but
Let's talk about Beauty and the Beast, guys.
Oh yes.
yeah, but I think it's gonna break all sorts of stuff. So
Because what was it? I think the record was 25 something million Thursday night showing. Was that the Wonder Woman record?
no, it wasn't Wonder Woman. It was Avengers.
Was it
First Avengers.
No, we checked it when Wonder Woman came out. That set a new record for Thursday night
Oh
premiere.
yeah, we did.
I think it was 25 or 26 million.
Yeah, no, something else was in place when I checked it for comparing for Infinity War. Something else was they knocked
Black
something
Panther.
else. Not even Black Panther. But I know movie theaters were running into the problem that they didn't have enough scheduled movie showing times for Infinity War because of how fast things sold out. They were like, we don't have enough. So they were like scrambling to add more.
I couldn't see back where you guys were sitting, but when I bought tickets for this showing, most of the good seats were taken, but the theater did seem a little
I'm
light.
sure a lot of people
But it's also 1 on it.
It's 1 p.m. on a Saturday. Everyone's still crying from seeing it Friday night.
Yeah, they probably bought it like 2 days worth of tickets, being like, I want to see it again.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was some of that to a degree. And then people were like, no, I'm too devastated. I can't watch Vision die again for the third and fourth time.
When Thanos fucking ripped the Mind Stone out of his head, I was
that
like,
was brutal. And then him
there's
just discoloring and just
grays and falls over.
And you just see the feet. It was the same hang that they had for Loki too. It was brutal.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing they were using to visually mirror. Loki's dead, guys.
By the way, don't get any ideas.
Unless you guys thought wrong. Here, let's give you another visual.
oh man, brutal but awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, they have.
Good job, Marvel. Good job. You took the creative risk, and I think it's paying and has paid off.
They can afford to.
Yeah, exactly.
They're one of the few companies that can afford to take this kind of risk.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
You got anything else, Siege?
Oof. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Isaac, what do you think? You got anything? He's got cuddles. Okay. Riva, you got anything else?
I mean, I could go on for hours, but that's probably not what you want.
Guys, check out my 8-hour podcast. It's mostly Riva talking, and we're also.
This is my theory of when they're going to agree to have a partnership with Fox and Marvel to bring X-23 back into the universe.
Well, Disney owns that now.
I know,
so.
but they haven't yet.
Administrator, anything? You got anything?
It's a great movie.
Cool. Luna, you got anything? Cute doggy head tilt? Okay. Yeah, awesome. Would recommend. Would see twice.
Did see twice.
Did see twice.
Would see twice. Did see twice.
Go get Kylie. See it again.
Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah.
That motherfucker. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. And this is Take It Slow, aka Angry Porto, aka Clancy. Too many nicknames. Signing off.
Hashtag Quarter Flute Rules.
Hashtag Quarters Loot Rules. Say bye, CJ.
Bye, CJ.
Bye, CJ. Say bye, Riva.
Bye, Riva.
Bye, Riva. Say bye, Administrator.
By administrator.
Good pigeon sound off.
Bitch, sounds off. Say bye, Isaac.
Take it slow.